I've been decluttering all wrong for years. Hi, if you're new around here, I'm Madeline and I have recently started my minimalism journey, and I say recently, that's been like 8 months ago probably, and we have just kind of tried to declutter, create a more calm home that we can actually manage easier, because we have 2 kids. One of them is a 6-month-old baby, and so, you know, life can get hectic, so we definitely need a streamlined home, as simplified as possible, so that we don't feel like we're drowning in stuff every single day. As I've been on this journey, I've been kind of sharing with you tips that I've learned as well. I'm reading books, I'm trying to do some research, because I am finding it so interesting how clutter can affect our stress levels, our mental health and everything like that, especially as moms or parents. So yes, I'm taking you along for the journey, and today I wanted to share something that I have learned, and I have discovered that I've been decluttering all wrong for years and years. So I'm gonna tell you why that is and what you can do instead. So my big mistake is that I felt like I needed to take everything out of, for example, my wardrobe, right? I would take everything out of my wardrobe, put it on the bed in this big pile, and then sort through it one by one, look at each piece of clothing and think, you know, do I still want to keep this? Is this something I'm going to wear again? I felt like I had to take everything out, sort it out, and then put everything back in. And let me tell you, that process can take hours, obviously depending on how much stuff you have, but for me it would take hours upon hours, and it felt so overwhelming. And I know this is actually something that Marie Kondo recommends, right? That's kind of her signature thing, right? I watched the Netflix documentary that she has, and that's what she says, right? Take all the clothes, put them on a bed, and have this mountain that you can go through now. And I mean, I'm not a pro, I'm not one to disagree with Marie Kondo here, because I still love her, but I feel like for me it was just way too overwhelming, especially if I have 2 small children at home and I take this big pile of clothes and then they come rummaging through it, and it's a recipe for disaster in my books. And what I've also found is I would take all of these clothes out, right? And then as I was going through them, I felt like I was kind of motivated and excited at first, you know, to get this decluttering done. And then as I started going through them, I would get more and more tired. And by the end of it, I would feel like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Let's just pop them back in the closet and be done with it, right? And I would have decluttered a little bit, but not a lot. And this is actually a phenomenon that I have read about. It's called the decision fatigue, and it's, you know, when you are faced with a series of decisions, like you're sitting down for a session of decision making, right? Like decluttering your wardrobe, you have to take piece by piece and make a decision for every single piece of clothing. When you do that, when you have a big session of decision making, the quality of your decisions starts to deteriorate as you go along. And I have definitely found this to be true for myself, because as I said, by the end of it, or like by midway, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just gonna pop them back in. And yeah, it would just be way too overwhelming to finish that big project. Maybe if you have, you know, like a team of people helping you, obviously that might be different. Like when you watch a Netflix documentary, they might have that kind of help. But if you're just yourself with your entire wardrobe, or, you know, whatever it might be, toys, anything like that, it's just so overwhelming and so daunting that you are more likely to just pop things back in and make quick decisions like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep it, rather than just making good rational decisions that will actually help you down the line. And I know going through clothes especially can be really emotional, like you have so many memories attached to some of these pieces, or maybe you feel like you bought a piece of clothing and you haven't got your money's worth, you haven't worn it as much as you thought, and so we have guilt attached to it. We have, you know, sometimes shame because we spent a lot of money on some of these clothes and we haven't worn them, and you know, all of these feelings can make it so much harder to get through the process. And when you have a mountain of these, you know, guilt and shame and decisions, it can feel just too much. And I think that's why most people, you know, you like the end goal, like you like the end of the process of decluttering, but you don't really like going through it, right? And for me, I feel like now I'm in a point where I actually enjoy decluttering. It doesn't feel like such a big chore, and also because we have minimized a lot our home. I've done this video where I shared how I have gotten rid of probably like 80% of my wardrobe. We've gotten rid of toys, kitchen items we weren't using, just so many different things. I had a weekend where I decluttered 600 items from our home, which I will link down below, but it has been so freeing and liberating, just getting stuff out of the house and making space for the things that we actually value and that we actually enjoy. And so yeah, that was the wrong way of decluttering for me, just taking everything out. So I'm gonna tell you the right way for me, right? It might be different, like maybe you deal well with having a huge pile to go through. Everybody's different, right? So whatever works for you. Apologies for the sunshine, I feel like my lighting keeps changing. Annoying. But yeah, so the right way for me was going through one category, one drawer, one cupboard at a time, right? So I'm not taking everything out and making a huge mess anymore. I'm just taking one little bit that's manageable and that feels like I can get through this in like 15 minutes and be done with it for the day, right? And if you do this, maybe not every single day, because obviously life is busy, especially if you have kids, but whenever you get a chance, you feel like, oh, I have 15 minutes to wait around before I pick up my son from school. What's one drawer that I can declutter quickly? So that's tip number one. Get one category, like get all of your jeans out. And I think that's the thing about Marie Kondo. She says get everything out so you can see exactly how much you have, because I think it's the shock of it, because you realize, wow, I have a mountain of clothes. And so the shock of it will make you kind of be more likely to get rid of things. But you do have to, you know, think of the overwhelm as well, right? So I feel like, yes, do get everything out from one category. Get out all the kitchen spatulas that you have, get out all the jeans that you have, just one category at a time, and then you can see in that category how many things you have. So if you take it out and you realize I have 20 pairs of jeans, when am I ever going to wear 20 pairs of jeans? So then yes, you can go through that category, get rid of the ones you don't need anymore, and keep the ones that you actually love. So yeah, tip number one category, one drawer, one little cupboard at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Tip number two is to just set a small timer, right? Like 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be long. And if you only take one small category, it's not going to take you long anyway. You can put a timer on your phone, and then by the end of the timer, if you feel like I'm actually motivated right now, I want to tackle more, you are, you know, more than welcome to do that. And that's what I have found. Once I kind of get in the hang of it, I'm like, yes, I want to do more. I want to declutter more things. But if you are on a short time, you only have a little bit of time that day, just do those 15 minutes and think of it as a task well done. Take it off your list and feel accomplished for the day. My next tip for you is to always have a bin bag or a box or anything that you use to take things out of your house, right? To take it to donations, to the tip if it's something that you just need to toss away. When you're decluttering that one little cupboard or one little drawer, always take a bin bag or a box with you, just so you have things that you want to declutter, to have them to put in there, not just throw them on the floor. Because again, the goal is not to make a big mess, the goal is just to make it easy to get things out of your house. My fourth tip for you, when you're doing this declutter, really consider if it's worth selling something. Because I know a lot of us think, well, I'll keep this because I might sell it down the line and make some money out of it, but a lot of our stuff doesn't really have much value to anyone else, right? It has a lot of value to us because we feel like, I spent so much money on this, I didn't get my, you know, use out of this, and so I feel like I'm entitled to get that money back. But the truth is, our stuff just doesn't have the same value to someone else, especially if it's, you know, secondhand, it's been used. Even if you haven't used it and you've just kept it in your wardrobe for like 5 years, it doesn't have the same value as when you first purchased it. So if you're thinking about selling it, I have a video here that's going to really help you sell your clutter for cash. And I'm showing how I made over £1,400 just selling my clutter. But I will say, think about if you really have the energy right now and the mental space to be dealing with selling. Because it can be a bit of a hassle, right? You need to take pictures, put it online, get offers, package it up, take it to the lockers or a post office. And yeah, I do go into a lot more details in that video. And my fifth tip for you here is to have an outbox. I have mentioned this before, but it's so helpful. It's definitely a game changer because we have so many ways of bringing stuff into our home, and we definitely do not have systems, or at least I didn't have this for years. We don't have systems to get things out of our house. So having an outbox is super helpful, and this is especially helpful for things like my wardrobe, my kids' wardrobe, toys, like, I mean, pretty much anything in your house. I have an outbox in our downstairs cupboard, like under the stairs cupboard, and then I have some outboxes in each of our wardrobes. What we do is when I'm just going through the house, tidying, whatever I'm doing throughout the day, and I notice, oh, that item we can actually get rid of. I don't just leave it there, I take it and I put it in the outbox straight away. If I'm going through my kids' closet, just getting them dressed in the morning, and I realize, oh, this t-shirt's actually too small for them now, I take it and put it in the outbox straight away. I don't leave them in there because we think, oh, I'll deal with them whenever I do a big declutter, right? But it's so much easier just to take it out, put it in the outbox, and then when you have a trip to donations, or when you get a donations bag in your mail to put it outside your front porch if you're in the UK, then you can just go throughout the house, get everything from the outboxes and put it in donations, and that's all done. It's so much easier than having to do a big declutter that's going to overwhelm you. I hope this was helpful. Let me know how you're getting on with decluttering. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.